That's why you had so many of those guys like Parliament Funkadelic who talking about the mothership and cosmic things, because the music was brought here, especially in the 50s. You had Stun Ra making boards sound like spaceships. And he would plug an in jack to an out jack. He would go chop down a tree, cut it out, and make a drum out of a tree, because they was in tune with something on a much higher frequency, on the soul level. And a lot of the people, they know that's in the music industry. They knew that these people were tapped in to higher frequencies and resonance and sound.
And they study the music.
Exactly.
And they intentionally, deliberately, as you said earlier, take the music in those directions so it can appeal to the lowest chakra, if you will, lowest vibration, the lower wave of how we respond.
Exactly.
So mostly bass music. It's bass. B-A-S-E, not B-A-S-S. B-A-S-E music. Because now it's all based on sexual gratification and sexual charge, and a lot of it, is moving a lot of the disregard for and disrespect of the body as a divine temple to now being a sexual gratification object. And most of it is degrading and denigrating women.
Exactly. That's the thing that we're talking about with today. Nothing is more powerful than this thing that we call hip-hop. Nothing is more influential. That's why you gotta be careful. See, I'm talking into this microphone. All right, me having this microphone in front of me is very important, because I explain to y'all, I personify sound, right? They say, well, this is the person speaking. A person. Personification. I personify sound into this microphone. My words are very important. That's why one of the most important things on this planet is a microphone and a camera.
Because of the voice.
Right, because it's like, if I'm a person, I personify sound. And if I'm saying something, it's going to vibrate throughout the universe and the galaxy, no matter how small the vibration is.
And the reverbs, right.
Exactly, no matter how small it is. Right. But everything that I'm saying is going to travel.
Like a pedal in the pound.
Yeah, it's going to travel.
Right.
It's going to go. And if it comes back negative and have a negative impact, who's that on? You following what I'm saying? So that's why I say me being on the receiving end of what I'm putting out. So if I'm saying this on this microphone, it's a reason why we have this. Because we're here to personify sound. You can't be a person without being a personification of sound. That's why you have these vocal cords, to hear my voice. This is music.
The microphone is an extension of that. Exactly.
Exactly. This is all music.
And the camera is the eye. So everything has been taken from the anatomy of who we are and how we incarnated. And all we do is recreate ourselves or make it for a projection of more of the same.
Exactly, because that's what we was created from.
Right.
We was created from sound.
But everything started with sound. I thought at the beginning was the word, but the word is a vibration, right?
The vibration of tone. Everything, yeah, is the sound. That's why when you use words, I'll give you an example of how that takes place. All right. According to the newborn tablets, the records, right? They have these tablets called the Izapah tablets. Now on these tablets, they have the word. Okay, the original word say in the beginning was the word, and then but in English they'll tell you that it say the word was God, but that wasn't the word. The word that was there was okay, and then it became okay. So like when you're like it's thought provoking. That's why if you're trying to find a word, you're like, because that was the word. It was and then it became OM. That's why in most of the words that build flesh, you'll find the word om in it. That's why you got the word mom. It's om in that word, right? You got the word chromosome. It's in there twice. Right? You got the word woman, womb, This is how the word became flesh. It's in everything that creates flesh. The word Om was the original word. That's why many of the ancients, they kept that mantra. Om. Because it was sound and vibration. So in the beginning was sound. In the beginning was the word that was a sound.
Now, okay, this is science, y'all. We're talking about science, and as opposed to it just being mundane ways of communicating. It brings us to what we're talking about here, particularly because of the release of Rap God Royalty. I think I asked that question earlier. I wanted you to expound on why you have chosen to define and describe your music as Rap God Royalty, and also your own record label and your own way of describing music in terms of the indigenous entertainment is actually your genre of music, which is juxtaposed hip hop. You know, you really truly have now removed yourself from using hip hop as a basis for referencing.
Yeah, because I knew the direction it was going in. I started like for years. I consider myself to be a rap god. In fact, in 2001, I did a song called King of Kings, Lord of Lords. And that was the first time that I declared myself as being a rap god. Because I had been rapping for so many years. And I had got to the point to where I had begun to perfect the craft. And everything that I was doing was on a higher resonance, a higher frequency. It was being brought from the higher realm. So I was just trying to rap on a level that other people couldn't rap on.
Do you remember your first recording, your first release, the one that you first put out there that you did?
I don't remember the first thing I did.
But it was based on what you're saying now. It was right?
Yeah. In 2001, like when I first started rapping, I was very young, like Prince was. When I first started rapping, my uncle actually got me into rapping as well. But I want to answer the question before I go there about Rap God Royalty. Right. And Rap God Royalty, I started, and I explained this on the album too. When I started that, it was in 2001. And then once I started to trace my bloodline and lineage, and I saw that my lineage ran back to royalty. Right. So I just took Rap God and my Rap God persona and put it together with the royal lineage and called it Rap God Royalty and made it my brand. So my brand of music, being Rap God Royalty, is all about rapping on a divine level, on a level that most people can't rap on. So like when you hear me rap in the Olmec language, like the Olmec language is the first language that was ever spoken on this planet. And I still speak the language till this day, which gave birth to things like hieroglyphic, you know, they say like the Egyptian hieroglyphics, you know, that came from something called hieroglyphic. And then you have something called Epi-Olmec, which gave birth to that, and something called Nahuatl. Nahuatl is the language of the Mayans. Okay, and then you have something called cuneiform, which means wedge form or wedge script that came out of that as well. And these were the original languages of the planet before all the other dialects were branched out of that. Mm-hmm. So it's important to be able to connect with what was documented, what was written, what was put in place initially, because they say rap started in New York, right? And they say in the Bronx, they say in 1973. But when you go back to the Newborn records and the Newborn tablets, the Olmecs was rapping in the pyramids thousands of years ago. They had raps in the Magical Child. That's why it's so poetic, because they was already dropping bars, heavy bars and rhymes way back then in the pyramids. So I tell people that it's just being recycled. We're doing it in a different form now. But it's the same thing that's coming back around.
What's the different form? And I think it's important to know when you speak about languages and how languages is important to realize that that's how we formally any type of dialogue or conversation, if you will, and the way that we communicate is based on those same principles that you speak to now, and that is language. The thing is, most don't know other languages than they probably know, which is the primary language of English.
Right.
Right. But you're saying, so what are the different ways that is being created now versus how it was in the ancient days or antiquity of, as you speak to the Olmec, Nubian language?
The thing is, like the languages of antiquity, you know, it's two ways that they were, that is written, okay, and documented. It's either going to be straight up and down like this, or it's going to be from right to left. It's not going to be from this way forward, like the way that we do it today.
Right,
so yeah, it's going to be from right to left, or it's going to be from the top down, like you see it in Chinese calligraphy.
Right.
So you'll see it come, they write straight up and down. Okay, then you have from right to left. Now the difference with the language is it had resonance, it had tone, and it had three parts. Like it was a three-part verb and everything. So like say, like a word, like I'll give you some practical words in the language of today. Like most people who are familiar with the Bible, so maybe I'll start with something like that. All right, so you have like Gabriel, right? All right, really, like when you look at the names, they say that that's one name, but it's actually three names.
Yeah.
It's Geb, Ra, and El,
yeah.
right? That's how they did it. So that's why they didn't have last names like this name,
Right.
Mark Anthony, you know what I'm saying? So it's three-part verbs. You know, that's why you have Ishmael, Yisrael. And the reason that most of them had El at the end of their name, because in antiquity, the ancient language, the word El meant God. So when you have, they kept that in their name. They kept that in the lineage. They kept it in the bloodline. So like when you see, like when they tell you that, oh, when Jesus went through something and he fell down to the ground and he said, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. And they said, my God, why have thou forsaken me? Right? Okay, well, what he was speaking in a native tongue that connected him to the ancient lineage of the Els. Okay? That's why you have El Rey. That's why you have El Roy. Okay, you have El Roy, that's E-L-R-O-I. Okay, the word Eli is a small version of that. Okay, so you have E-L-R-O-I. If you take the R and the O out, you got Eli. But El Roy, it just means the God who sees all. So they always had El in their name. So you have like El Kalum, Elyun, El. They always had that in their names. That's why El Rey is one of those names, the family name. So like if you go to Mexico, if you look up Jesus' name, you'll see his name was El Cristo Rey. Right? Which is like, and that's what I'm saying. It's always been that. They say, well, Jesus' name was Emmanuel.
Right.
Emmanuel. Because they always had that in their name. That was a family lineage.
So how does that, you know I'm going next now.
Go ahead.
So how does that correlate or correspond to what the Moors speak to when they use El in their name and how they describe or define themselves as El? And how that...
It was just passed down. Like a lot of people, not just the Moors, but a lot of people adopted El in various cultures. You know what I'm saying? You see that like it's in Spanish. You have El and then you have Al. Like you have El in Hebrew, right? Okay, and then you have the Moors who really don't have a language, but they try to pretend like they deal with Arabic basically, right? So you have Al, A-L, and then you have E-L, right? That's why they do Allahumma, and then you have Allah, right? Al and El, those were the base names, which is really one and the same. But like Elohim, Elohim. Elo, E-L, lo. Elohim is the same thing as Allahumma. Allahumma came before Allah. Allahumma means these beings or these gods. Just like Elohim means these beings or these gods. Now it was changed to Allah. And then before Allah, it was Alat or Aluhad, which was a female version of it. Right? So they left that out also. So you have the language, that's why the language is so important. See, and the language of Arabic came from a language called Assyric Sareg. It gave birth to what is known as Arabic, which gave birth to what is known as Persian today. So knowing the language is always important, and knowing the rules, like the rules of the language. See, like when I speak in our language, it's a rolling of the tongue. It's always something concerning L and Re. Like so you see how my tongue go when I say Re, right? Because that's the way it's pronounced. Like everything with an R, it had a tone, it had a vibration. But in English, there's no tone, there's no vibration. Like if I say people, it's like we're looking. If I say rat, I'm looking for tone. I'm looking for a vibration in the word, but it's not in the word. So that's why, like, they took that from us. Because if we were speaking, we spoke rhythmically, chanted in tone. So if you hear me saying that, like if I'm doing something like closure or something like that, you hear me say Abdul Kod Ashutad Wabazo. Biba Ho Patenta, Abduki Farragon Ashu Patenta, Mahulas, Asulu Ameriki. I'm speaking in a language that has tones, but I can do it rhythmically chanted in tone. So I can speak it in that way, but it was also done in tone. So that means if I say the same thing that I just said, I'll be like Abdul Kul Ashutad Wabazum Biba Mol Patenta. That they was always into rhythm and into tone, no matter what, whether it was just sounded out in a regular sense or they was rhythmically chanting it in tone to create vibration, to create sound, to create harmony and movement and power. That's how they did things.
And that makes good sense, or makes great sense, because what it does, it puts us in the space where now the music, or the way that things are being expressed, even in the music, helps to soothe and heal. You know, one of the things we talked about earlier in being cosmology, you know, we're here speaking to what is the cosmology of what we know as the blue lunar hand. And that means that we are polarizing, as you may be sounding very polarizing right now.
Right.
You know, but to order to stabilize. So, you know, you polarize in order to know, stabilizing, healing.
Exactly.
Right. So when we talk about that in the standpoint of, you know, the cosmology or the formula for creation, we have to go back to the original vibration that supports creation. Because everything is based on the stability of that, based on the manifestation of the wisdom that you're providing now with us. So, and I think that's more importantly, and thank you for expressing that and really going through, you know, the phonetics of that, because I think it was important to know. On this album, this release album, there's 22 tracks. What went into creating those 22 tracks? And let's talk more about let's talk about the Closure is one of those that we released early on when the program was out. And then also after that, we have Life After Death. And you speak a lot to the autobiographical approach to it. And at one point you talked about the fact how that was important for us to tell our story, to become more real and not be fake. And then some of these lyrics that we hear now, like you said, somebody's writing it, and then they're mouthing it. Come to find out that they had nothing to do with none of the creation of it.
That's right.
You know, but when you speak and you talked about some of the things that you have dealt with, it gives you more real of a approach to affecting those who may be listening to the music, particularly these, right? And do you find that to be effective?
Yeah, that's why it's important to cultivate and nurture the craft, like skills. Like you learn how to do things. See, we need to make sure that our children know how to do things. We know the art, like this is an art form. It's an art form to rhyming, to rap, to writing. You know, I broke down, I got something called Rap God 101, and I break down all of the different components of rap that's necessary, that made certain people legendary. Not everybody do all of the things that put you on the level of a rap god, but it's certain things that an artist did that they was great at that made them special. Like one of the things like Tupac, for example. A lot of people don't listen to Tupac for super hard bars and lyrics like they would listen to a Nas or a Cannabis, right? They don't listen to Pop for that. They listen to Pop for feeling, how he made you feel, because his voice flux and his cadence and what he's saying, you can't beat that. Like he was doing something you couldn't beat. Like, okay, so like if Pop was to say a word, he gonna say a word to where you can feel him, and he always had that moniker, can you feel me? He would always say that because his lyrics was about you feeling him, not about being a super fancy, clever, witty lyricist. That wasn't his thing. He knew what he was great at. That's why his cadence and influx was so powerful. And he was saying real things that you can actually relate to. People on the streets, people with babies, families, what he was talking about, he was very impactful. That's why you can't beat that. You know, you can't just show up and just beat that. That's
it's his actual personal
exactly.
You can't. No one can come into your own level of production based on your own creativity and your own experience, and compete with that. There's no competition when it comes to that. Because everything is based on your own inner knowing, your inner self, and your inner experience as it relates to what you incarnated to do, right?
Right, yeah, and see, that's why I say, like, and then you got Biggie. Biggie was very clever. You know, Biggie was very witty in his words. He had the sophistication of wordplay, right? And that's why a lot of the people from New York was biting from Biggie, because he was, you know, he had the style, he had the swag. You know what I'm saying? Watching your shot T-shapes, watching your clocking your, it's how he's saying what he's saying. Like he was real clever in how he was saying what he's saying. And you said, like, it's like his words, the way he put them together was real clever. He was real witty with that type of thing. That's why when you know what you do, you stick to what you do. Everybody don't do what Biggie do. You say, yeah, I squeeze 3 at your cherry M3, bang every MC easily. Right. All right, like when you say that, that's real powerful, it's real clever, it's real witty. Right. Not everybody can do that, but if you hear somebody else say that, you're gonna be like, man, you stole that from Biggie. Right. Because can't nobody else say that like that. Right. And that's what Jigga, Jay-Z, he was known for stealing a lot of Biggie's rhymes. And Big L rhymes, and Nas rhymes, and a lot of other people. But a lot of people respect Jay-Z because...
Why?
Because he's one of the pop because he's the face. And like I said, Cool J and Jay-Z about the same age. 2 different eras of rap. The only way you can compare Jay-Z to these rappers, you can compare Jay-Z to Tupac, you can compare Jay-Z to Nas, you can compare Jay-Z to Biggie, you can even compare Jay-Z in with Drake. You can compare them in an era of rap, but you can't compare Jay-Z to a Cool J. You can't compare them.
So the comparison that you make with these particular artists that you mentioned is because he co-opted or plagiarized their music. That's why you
that's what I'm saying. Like, so they say Jay-Z is the greatest rapper, and I did a real nice Jay-Z diss because I'm from the origin of rap. I know real rap, and I know real skills and real talent. All right, now Jay-Z got beat by Nas. Jay-Z got beat by DMX. Right? Now I be telling people Jay-Z got beat by Big L. but they be saying he the best rapper. You see what I'm saying? Like, but Cool J ain't never lost to nobody.
It's the best.
Like, that's what I'm saying. But it's the industry. That's what they're saying. See, Jigga, and that's why Cool J said, he said y'all caught up into these money rappers. And he said y'all should get y'all money back.
Okay.
You know, and I know that was a direct shot at Jigga. And a lot of y'all should just get y'all money back. Because
so how does that, well, great, you want to expand more on that? Because I want to actually take that, well, I think that, this is an essential conversation. And when we talk about living mathematics, right? The science of living mathematics, and where some of that has been also, again, as I talk about things getting, the larceny of music. There's a lot of larcenies out there. They literally feel, and then they become the face, or they become the voice, or they become, the presence of the music, and then they become the representatives of the music without any legitimate, and as you state, talent.
right.
But if that's all one sees and one knows, and what has been heavily financed and heavily pushed for the public consumption, then there really is no comparison, because most of them do research and say, well, let's do some real competitive analysis based on the science that you speak, right? And that's a dilemma, in a sense.
Not necessarily a dilemma.
Okay,
It's
so
just,
what is it?
the thing is, it's just the influence that we are seeing. They have a certain thing that they want the public to be influenced by. All right, and that's what they did to the music. So in order for music to be what it should be today, you're gonna have to nurture and cultivate young people to have real talent, real gifts, real skill, and give them the science and the formula, so we won't have to listen to more generations of trash music. And the reason why we're hearing that is because it's a deliberate agenda to pay somebody to say something derogatory, vulgar, or negative with no talent. They don't really respect talent. Like the people who have real talent, they have impact and influence in a major kind of way. That's why they was trying to shut Pac up. You know what I'm saying? If you look at the music that he did and what he was able to accomplish, Pac was 25 years old. He had a lifetime of music still living on, still going on. He's still having more impact and more influence than all of these rappers of today. And he been gone. He been gone for a very long time now. But his music is still influential. It's still impactful. It still lives on. So when you look at people who have that type of influence, you want to change that. That's why these people were coming at him, because he was too influential. He had to be taken out, because think about it. When Pac was dropping what he was popping, the only other rapper that was really popping at the time was Snoop Dogg. At the time, it was Pac, and then it was Snoop Dogg. Now, then you had Biggie coming in, and then Jay-Z wasn't really a factor at the time. Now, if Biggie and Pac is going to be the standard in New York in rap, we wouldn't be hearing the rap that we're hearing today. We wouldn't hear a lot of the artists that we hear today, because the bar would be raised so high. It would be like a secret society of real skills, real talent, people talking about real things. But when they took Biggie out and they took Pac out, you notice that music changed. It just changed.
Dramatically, right. And I think you can, and I want to, with that being said, I want to maybe bring Prince should come into the equation, because that's what you're speaking to. You're speaking to what is influencing the youth, right? And how the youth are taking upon themselves to now redirect or correct the the music, and Prince, King R.A. made a reference to you earlier. He said that you were unstoppable and unbeatable or uncompetitive. And how do you make a determinate decision